That moving screen was the best play JR made all day. He had another rough one, did JR. Go get it, LeBron. Second dunk that I didn't think he was going to get to the rim.
Up in the air for like 3 minutes. More LeBron now. Of all the discussions, topics, angles, arguments we've had with regards to him, the one we haven't spent too much time discussing is one that might be in play after LeBron's insane recent stretch. Yesterday, he continued his dominant month. He scored 37 points to go along with 10 boards, 8 assists. And while James Harden appears to be the unanimous MVP winner, should we give pause to consider LeBron? Here's Cavs interim head coach Larry Drew.
Well, I mean, you just look at the stat sheet, and it's just not about points. You know, it's what he's doing on the boards, it's what he's doing from an assist standpoint. He's just a force. He's a force, and I mean, he has put up MVP numbers without a doubt.
I feel like LeBron, there could be a case made for LeBron just about every second of every day, even outside the basketball season. Should LeBron be in the MVP conversation, Chris?
Look, if I'm an official voter, and there's no criteria. You know, the NBA doesn't give you any list of how you should vote for MVP. I feel like in recent years, there is more of a consensus because because of technology now, we see all the games. We can read all the writers about the various teams. When you think about it, decades ago, you weren't seeing, you know, if you were in the East, you weren't seeing Kareem every night playing for the Lakers and things like that. So now I feel like there's more of a consensus, and that includes team success, not just your individual play. If you are a voter who believes I just have to give the MVP to the best player in the world.
But that's not what MVP is.
Well,
no, I mean, there's many
right.
different things. Like I said, to me, it's never been just who's the best player in the world.
Right.
Because Michael Jordan could have won it for a decade straight, and LeBron could win it for a decade straight. Neither one of them has been given that. So from what I view as MVP is a phenomenal individual season, coupled with great team success, unless there's some type of aberration like Russell Westbrook getting a triple-double last year. I have to go with James Harden. So I would say no to the question. I don't think there's an MVP discussion. I think James Harden is so far ahead of everybody else that he's number one. The discussion is who's number two, and that could be LeBron or Anthony Davis. But for number one, it's James Harden clearly to me.
All right, let's show LeBron versus Harden numbers for the year, because Harden has been the runaway leader throughout the season. And if you look at their numbers side by side, Harden's got him by 3 points in points per game. LeBron obviously averages more rebounds. Surprisingly, LeBron's even averaging more assists. And the field goal percentage is drastic, right? LeBron shooting 10% better from the field. Also, everyone agrees LeBron is the best player in the league. I think most people agree LeBron is the one player more than anybody else on a contender that if you remove him, they go from contender to not a playoff team. I think LeBron, so you can argue as far as value proposition, that's LeBron. I say all that to say this. James Harden's the MVP. Because the MVP, here, I'm not a voter. That's infuriating. As Chris Broussard said to me, I know. As Chris Broussard said to me once about a year ago, I was like, why do you get to be a voter and I don't? He's like, I don't know. I've covered the league for 25 years. Like, you go on TV and talk about LeBron. I was like, all right, good point, sir. Here's the reason it's got to be James Harden. Because the other thing the MVP is, to me, is a historical marker. We need to see who that season was about at times. And it is important when we are talking about the greats of the greats. The biggest knock on Dwayne Wade, like D-Wade versus Dirk Nowitzki historically, that's an interesting conversation. But you know why the tie goes to Dirk? He's got a league MVP. D-Wade never, I think he only finished in top 3 once. James Harden deserves an MVP. Like, he deserved it, I thought, 3 years ago.
Yeah, I voted for him.
He had a strong argument last year. I know you voted for Russ last year. If Russ didn't have the triple-double.
And I mean, if Russ was 9.7.
Right. Which is why some people think it was crazy that he didn't win it last year. Harden deserves it. Harden's on the best team. He's been their best player. Everyone knows LeBron's the best player in the world. And amazingly, you can argue this month of March, LeBron is having the best month of his career. He's never averaged in a month more combined points, assists, and rebounds than he is this month. He also is going to win Eastern Conference Player of the Month every month of the year except for January, because he's going to win it again in March. He might average a triple-double again this month after going his entire career without averaging a triple-double until this past February. He's been extraordinary. But if I had a vote, I think it definitely should be James Harden. I disagree with you that there should be a contest for number 2. LeBron, to me, has clearly surpassed what Anthony Davis has done.
If you put up the numbers, Davis averaging more points, more rebounds. He has a better PER. Field goal percentage is virtually the same. He's at 54. LeBron's at 55. And his team's got about the same record in the West against tougher competition. You brought up a good point about historical relevance. The problem is, I agree with you, but it's skewed already. The fact is, Steve Nash, who I voted for in those 2 years he won it, has 2 MVPs, and Shaq and Kobe only have 2 combined.
Well, it's a shame. Shaq
crazy.
Deserved more.
Shaq
Kobe
deserved
was lucky
more.
to get
I think Kobe deserved more. But Kobe was the best player in the world at times.
Oh.
You know, right there. I know you're Mr. Analytics.
I mean, the night he scored
Kobe
81.
Bryant, come on, man. Don't sleep on Kobe. Don't diss the Mamba.
Could trading Kyrie actually have been good for the Cavs? It's next on First Things First.
You voted for Nash in 06? Yes. That's a year LeBron got jobbed.
No.
31-7-7.